This is an empty Kallax cube, and I'm going to spend today's video attempting to curate a collection that fits solely inside this area. When I initially thought of this video, I was thinking just 10 games, if I had to curate it down to 10 games. And then someone was like, well, what about a single Kallax cube? And at first I was like, absolutely not.
No. Well,
Then maybe I'll hate myself, but it might be fun. So here we are, one Kallax cube collection. Now, if you'll look behind me and if you've ever watched this channel before, you know I have a lot of board games, and I like a lot of board games. And if you know my tastes, a lot of them lean on the large side, a la Forbidden Stars and the entirety of Root and Spirit Island and Nemesis, Cthulhu, Death May Die, Wonderland's War Obsession. Will any of them make the cut today when I have to be conscious about the space and the size that I'm actually taking up? And I'll tell you right now, I haven't given this a ton of thought ahead of time. I know a few, but I wanted you to be here with me trying to figure out, going through the motions together as I'm deciding between, Forbidden Stars and Veiled Fate or something like that, comparing the sizes of the box with the game and the enjoyment that they bring and how that leads to me curating this collection. Let us begin. Thank you, Draco. I think I want to start with a bigger game just to kind of give ourselves an idea of the space that we're taking up. And I have given this a small amount of thought. I love Forbidden Stars and I would love to keep that, but I think that the player count is just too limited. It's a long game. It's not going to see the table regularly. I was thinking though, speaking of not seeing the table regularly, I have a game, a large game, but not as large as Forbidden Island, at least in the space that it takes up, that I haven't played a lot, but that I think would be really good value for the space that it takes up. Too Many Bones. You see, this is a big game. Now, granted, I only have Undertow and a couple of the character expansions, only one box, but they're all in there. It's very heavy. And it really doesn't take up that much space, right? Like you can see, it's not, if I'm using the entire depth of the shelf, I still have over half of it widthwise and about half lengthwise. I think that's really good value for Too Many Bones. Granted, this is a game I haven't played as much as I'd like to, but also if I curate my collection down quite a lot, maybe it'll hit the table more often. So I honestly think that's really good value off the jump. Now, I'll admit there are several games in here that I know will be making the cut, right? For example, this deck box. Inside here are 3 games: Fantasy Realms, Buried Treasure, and Fuji Flush. And that is an immense amount of value in a single deck box. So this will obviously be making the cut. Now, where it fits, I don't know yet. I'm gonna leave it right here. It's just gonna stay right there. There's a couple others though. HexaQuest, as you see here, it's a trivia game in which you're kind of navigating this quest, or this hex, and attempting to solve trivia questions and rack up points in doing so. This is not my favorite game by any stretch of the imagination, nor is it a game that I would have put in my 10 game collection, but for the space it takes up, it's not that much, and it's a game that gets tabled often. My wife, Danielle, loves trivia. My family loves trivia. This is probably the single most played game, at least physically, in all of June and July. And I think for that size, it might just slot in, okay, not that way, but it slots in pretty well on top of Too Many Bones. So I think that's gonna have to make the cut. Now, I'm thinking of other small games just to kind of fill up this side, right? If I can fill up this side with small games, then maybe I have a couple more bigger ones that can go on the right side. The few that immediately jump to mind beyond the 2 that are already in there are things like Monikers, Just One, Longshot the Dice Game, Biblios, Lord of the Rings The Confrontation. Those 4, those 5, whatever it may be, are all ones that I'd really like to have in here, but is it gonna be possible to squeeze them all in and still get a couple bigger games? I think we can work that out. Maybe, let's see. I have Monikers and the expansion. I actually have 2 expansions, More Monikers and Serious Nonsense. Can I fit the expansion in here? No, you cannot. It's been a while since I've opened it. Forgot it was entirely full of cards. So if I want the expansion, I have to take the expansion. I do love Monikers, and I have played it enough that I think maybe the expansion is a worthwhile inclusion here. Then we've got Just One, for example. that'll technically fit. Like I said, I'm using the entire depth of this collection, but I don't want to cheat too much because something like Mechs vs. Minions is actually incredible value if you're just talking about the width of the box. That feels a little like cheating. Same with Kingdom Death Monster. They would stick out, 10, 12 inches, but it would technically fit inside the shelf. So I don't think I want to stick out that far, but there we go. Okay, hold on. Okay, we've got the top sorted out. Ooh. Skull King, baby. This is an incredible trick-taking game. Danielle doesn't care for it, but I love it. I love Skull King. I think that it's gonna be something that hits the table often. One of my favorite small box games. I almost forgot its inclusion on this list, and that, frankly, would have been really sad. Oh my, it is literal millimeters away from fitting above monikers. Actual millimeters. That's sad. It's not gonna work. Now, it's gonna fit. I'm gonna take it, but where in the collection will it go? Maybe right there. That gives me more space for something like a Dungeon Mayhem. I'm not saying I'm gonna include that, but it's kind of the size I'm dealing with here. Ooh, something like a Bandata, perhaps. It's a nice little solo or two-player game, really puzzly dice manipulation game. We actually have a video if you want to check that out. Quite like it. Have not played it since the Kickstarter fulfilled, so I'm looking forward to actually playing the production copy. Oh, I've got over half width-wise, but I still have things like Long Shot the Dice Game, like Strike. When it gets to deciding on the one or two big ones that take up this space, this is gonna be a real ball ache. It's gonna be real rough. Oh man, ooh, this one right here might just have to make the cut. That is not a small box, but pretty good value for what I would consider one of the best deduction games and one that you can basically play forever. Before I get into filling all the nooks and crannies, let's talk about bigger ones. I would love to be able to include Forbidden Stars in here, and it fits. It'll fit, but that's a lot of space. Actually, now that I put it in there, it's not as much as I thought it would be. I love that game, but I think the amount of people that are gonna wanna play this game with me are too few. It's basically Kenny and maybe Doolin. And beyond that, I think my options are quite limited. Then I have something like Veiled Fate, which is a pretty substantial box, especially for what it is. Now, I'm not saying Veiled Fate's a small game. It's actually a big production. It's a big experience, but it's a social deduction game. It's not a meaty Euro, not that everything has to be. This is one that I would love to include in here because it plays from 2 to 7. And I've played it 2, 3, and 4, and it's great at least all 3 of those counts. If I slot this in here, I think I'm missing out on 2 other solid games, right? It takes up just enough space width-wise that I don't think I can fit 2 bigger games in here. Whereas, if I go with something like Spirit Island, which should honestly have already been mentioned, I think I can also get Cosmic Frog or Concordia. I'll say, Doolin and I played this again. Been the first time we've played it in years. So good. I'll also say, I'm a much better board gamer than I used to be. Brush the shoulders off. I'm way better now than I was 2 years ago. Like, we cruised through this. Granted, we didn't play with any scenarios or adversaries. It was the easiest difficulty imaginable. But we cruised, and I'm not used to doing that in Spirit Island. I think, am I actually gonna have enough room for another bigger game? So I've got something like Orleans, right? Let's squeeze that shut and see. Okay, all right, looky there. So something like Orleans will fit in there if I want that to. So let's compare that size with other games. We're talking Orleans, Concordia Venus, we're talking Cosmic Frog. We're talking the likes of Azul, Quacks of Quedlinburg, Cosmic Encounter. I think Viticulture and Scythe are both gonna be too large. Now, with that said, Viticulture has the benefit of actually being a fairly small box. Width-wise, it's not gonna fit between Spirit Island and Awkward Guests, but, oh boy, oh, that is, oh, I don't wanna open this up anymore. That is, millimeters. Oh, look at that. Oh, looky there. Oh, that is beautiful. That is a beauty. That might just have to make it solely on the fact that it just looks that nice filling up that spot. Apologies for all the rumbling components. That's going to be a nightmare to pick up. Okay, moving on. Cascadia? Everdell. I may have already sized myself out of obsession with the inclusion of awkward guests, but oh, that's a tough one. Decrypto? Friggin' love Decrypto. Am I going to want to go the rest of my life without Decrypto? Oh boy. Here's one. God, I want to play this game. Argent, the Consortium. I want to play this game so bad. I just haven't learned it. It's my fault. You know, I'm gonna learn this game. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna buckle down and learn this game. It would fit, but I do think it's a little cheeky taking a game that I don't even know if I like. So I feel bad doing that. So I'm gonna say I'm sorry, Argent, the Consortium. But you're gonna have to wait until the next time I do this video when I have other games that I know and love here. I do have Unmatched Cobble and Fog, which is honestly an interesting addition. It doesn't quite fit the viticulture-sized hole that I have here. Really running out of space. I have enough room for one bigger game back there, and then anything smaller than viticulture. I'm not sure it's gonna make it. Fit perfectly. Debating between that and Orleans. Oh boy. Oh, this is difficult. I'm really uncertain about this. This is all hypothetical, by the way, but God, does it not hurt trying to do this. Okay, let's narrow it down. Mind Management, Orleans, Cosmic Frog, Camel Up. Fudge, dude. Why do I do this to myself? I'm trying to think of what'll actually get played, right? I think Spirit Island, let's be clear here, I'm not comparing Spirit Island and Mind Management, but I think those two are like in the same realm of who will table that with me. Then you have Camel Up, which fits a much wider variety of gamers and non-gamers alike. But if I include Camel Up, can I then also still fit viticulture? This is a puzzle in and of itself. I don't think it's gonna fit something like Unmatched back there. Oh my gosh. And then I do not want to open that game box. It sounds terrible. Oh, but do I really want Unmatched in there? Like, I like Unmatched a lot, to be clear. But is that a worthwhile space in my tiny single Kallax cube collection when it could be giving space to like Vast? I've never played it. I would love to include Vast in here too. Root. Here's the thing with Root. You know me, you know the channel, you know I love Root. If you're new here, I love Root. Freaking love it. It's favorite game of all time. I've played 170 times in the past year and a half. 165 of those have come on the app. If we're talking tiny collection and I'm allowed to have the app, I'm not keeping it. If I'm not allowed to have the app, it's a very difficult choice regardless, based off of it not being tabled often and taking up a lot of space. This is a whole half a Kallax cube basically by itself. Granted, I could boil it down into a couple boxes, but I think for the sakes of this video, we're assuming that A, Root stays because it's my favorite game of all time, or B, I'm allowed to have access to the app because that's what I'm gonna say. It makes me feel better. So then, is Cobble and Fog worth taking over something like Longshot or Azul or Cosmic Frog would even slot in there? Freaking A, dude. I do need something competitive and small. Biblios, though. I'm going to try and squeeze Biblios in here somewhere. Oh, boy. Camel Up over Mind Management? Is that a good call? This is where I wish I was live streaming this. Because you could help. That's an impossible decision to make. Like, which one do I like more? Mind Management. Which one's going to get played more? Camel Up. Which one's smaller? Camel Up. Which one appeals to a variety of people compared to Mind Management? Camel Up. Oh. But though I do think I prefer Camel Up, I can get a similar experience in a much smaller box size if I go for something like Long Shot the dice game. When I first played Long Shot, I compared it immediately to Camel Up. And I think I thought that maybe this was my favorite at the time, and I think I'm wavering on that. I think I might prefer Camel Up, though they're close. And I will say that Camel Up really needs people to get into it with the Camel Up and the rolling and the excitement, all that. It's required, really, for Camel Up to be that good. But I do think for the purposes of today's video, oh my gosh, that was really in there. That's what she said. That Camel Up can probably go in comparing it to Long Shot the dice game. So if we assume we're slotting Long Shot in here, okay, we are getting along somewhere. So I do have a couple on the short list. Viticulture, because it's a lot of game for the box size, right? Cobble and Fog. Three Sisters. I feel like I would say I feel like I need a Rollin' Right, but Long Shot the dice game fills that void, really. Oh gosh, yeah. I don't think I can go without Biblios, which slides right on top of Spirit Island. It was like it was made to happen. I like Green Team Wins a lot. I'm not yet convinced that it replaces Just One in any meaningful sense. It might be a worthwhile inclusion if at the end of this I still have some space and can fit it in. But as it stands, I don't think so. This, however, bada bing, bada boom, bop, pow, slides right in on top of Spirit Island. This is Radlands, probably my favorite head-to-head card game. I haven't played a lot of them. That's not really a type of game that I play regularly, but this one nails it. Love that game. I'm doing better than I thought I would. There's a lot more space in a Kallax than you think if you don't aim for like aesthetically pleasing faces. If I don't care about how nice my shelf looks, I can pack, okay, and it's not only how nice, it's how easy it is to get games out. If I want to play Too Many Bones, I have to take out half a dozen games, if not more. So it's not only fashion, it's also form and function also. Strike? The only problem with Strike is if I'm putting Strike in, I think I'm giving up any hope of including Cobble and Fog. And I think that's just cheating a little too much. I don't mind the Cobble and Fog and the Strike sticking out, actually. I don't know why 1.5 inches makes all the difference. But I think it does in this case. I think for some reason, I just don't feel comfortable letting that be allowed, really. Unmatched. Viticulture. Cascadia. Again, I keep repeating the same games, but that's because this is freaking hard. I don't entirely know what I'm doing. Can I just, please? You know? Actually not half bad. If I moved these to have them flat, God. Ugh. You think I can fit Crokinole in there? Probably not. Why? I think I have to. It almost doesn't make sense, right? It almost doesn't make sense. It's a bag of dice. I guess you do need the Coliseum for the purposes of like the dice falling out. But like, really? But on the other hand, this game is a hit every time I play it. And then I'm also back to my Cobble and Fog. I love the skirmish element of this game. I love the line of sight, how that plays out. I love the variable characters and the asymmetry. But it still doesn't get played that much. Oh boy. That feels like cheating to me. I don't know why. This is cool. This feels like cheating. Maybe in the comments you're gonna be like, Max, you're an idiot. It's all hypothetical anyways. Just roll with it. But at the same time, that feels wrong. I do have stuff like Lord of the Rings Confrontation, which granted I would reorganize before I fit it in here. That would absolutely fit, but hold on. I've got an idea. Not a great one. But something like Vendetta can go right there. my deck box find its home, and a little bit nicer of a home back there. That didn't change a thing. I can't do it. I can't have unmatched in here. Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. It's day 11. Still trying to decide what to do, what to fit on this shelf. I'm feeling hopeless, lost at sea. I need someone to come save me. Do not recommend you do this challenge. If you do, let me know. But I don't recommend it. It's just making my brain hurt. It's making my heart hurt. It's making my head hurt from banging it against the wall. I think my least favorite part is looking at this shelf and knowing I can probably organize that better and save some space. And then thinking, no one's gonna watch me sit there for 20 minutes figuring out how to best Tetris this into place to save maybe a couple of inches. Taco cat goat cheese pizza, that can fit in like anywhere. That did not even change the landscape of how this is going. Okay, let's revisit. High level games: Mind Management, Spirit Island, Too Many Bones. Medium weight games: Awkward Guests. Lightweight games, or medium Radlands also. Biblios? No, that's lightweight. Lightweight: Biblios, Monikers, Skull King, Just One, Long Shot, and the deck box consisting of Fuji Flush, Fantasy Realms, and Buried Treasure. I feel like I'm missing that medium weight, which is where things like Viticulture and Unmatched would come into play, but maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. Maybe a Three Sisters, a Strike here. No. Dice Miner? Nope, too much overhang. I've been rearranging. I can also fit in Quick Wits and Dungeon Mayhem, I think, without losing anything. Mind Management, Skull King, Bendata, Taco Cat, Dungeon Mayhem, Radlands, Quick Wits, Awkward Guest, Too Many Bones, Three Sisters, Spirit Island. So this has to go in there. 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 Maybe I didn't make myself any room. I feel like this got even tighter than it was before. All right, I'm calling it. I'm calling it. I have to decide between Green Team Wins and Decrypto. Honestly, not that hard of a decision for me, strictly based off the other games I've included. When I have something like Monikers, and I have something like Just One, and I have something like Strike, I feel like Green Team Wins is not redundant, but when I'm trying to narrow things down so much, I feel like it is. Something like Decrypto is a party game, but a deduction party game. If I wanted to, I could swap code names in here instead and still be a-okay, I think. It does leave me a little bit of space, and I still think I'd love to play Alice is Missing, so I'm gonna slot that in its place. And I do think I can maybe fit Please Fix the Teleporter right there, which is just a great little easy peasy game. I think I'm done. This is my, if I only had one Kallax cube worth of a collection, what would it look like? And I think this is it. Will I have regrets after this when I'm watching the video and editing it? Yeah, probably. Will I have regrets after people in the comments point out obvious decisions that I should have made? Absolutely. But this is what I've come to. And real quick, before I sign off and you can start yelling at me, let's run through them real quick. We have, oh my gosh, Decrypto. Excellent party deduction game. Please Fix the Teleporter. Super fun, like dexterity, speed kind of game. Absolutely love that video on the channel if you haven't seen it already. It was one of our first videos. You should check it out. The deck box that includes Buried Treasure, Fantasy Realms, and Fuji Flush. I couldn't go without this. Incredible deck box. Strike, amazing little game for a party. Just super fun, fast, easy to play. Just One. Biblios. Love those. Alice is Missing, the silent RPG. I so desperately want to play this game. Monikers and an expansion. Honestly, probably should have gone without the expansion because there's a ton of cards in here, but I've played this game a lot, and I felt like I probably needed the expansion. But my favorite party game, bar none. HexaQuest, an incredible trivia game. Absolutely love it. Played a lot with Danielle. If it weren't for her, this would not have made the inclusion, but I do still want to play games with Danielle. So that is HexaQuest. Then we're getting into Quick Wits, like basically a Nomia, but small box. Then we've got Radlands, a 1v1 lane battler is what I'm going to call it. Love this game, super fun. Got to play it some more. Then we have Dungeon Mayhem, what I would consider a 1v1 very light. Honestly, could probably play with 5+-year-olds. Beautiful Kyle Farron art though, and it is stayed in that collection for mostly that reason. Fun game, nothing amazing, but tiny box fits the theme here. I'm gonna pull this out because it has a few on top. We've got Bendata. I mentioned this video on the channel already. 1 to 2 player dice manipulation game about birds. It's beautiful, I love it, it's fun. Then we have Skull King, my favorite trick-taking game. This is a party game, but it's competitive. I absolutely love it. It's one of those, like Camel Up, you have to actually be into it with the yo-ho-ho, or the Camel Up for that matter. Gotta be into it for it to be as fun as it should be, but it's a blast. Then we have Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, another just super tiny one, excellent party game. Awkward Guests, a deduction game like Clue but better, that can be played at really any player count. I may have damaged the corner of it in this challenge, but that's a-okay. Awkward Guess, one of my favorite games of all time, honestly, up there. I don't know where it stands. Haven't done that, coming soon. Then we have Three Sisters Roll and Write. My current favorite roll and write, I think, though there have been a lot of new ones recently that I've yet to play. Long Shot, the dice game. I don't put this in that kind of roll and write category, but love this game too. This is what replaced Camel Up for me. Not in general, not in my collection. I still own Camel Up, but in this challenge, it was hard to deny the comparisons and also the much smaller box size. Then we have Spirit Island, an incredible 1 to 4 player cooperative game. I can play this solo, I can play this with Dula and with Danielle. Super thematic, super thinky and crunchy. I just adore this game. It was in my top 10 for a long time. I hadn't played it for a year and a half, just finally played it with Doolin recently. I don't think it's going anywhere, y'all. Freaking love this game. Then we have what I started it all off with, Too Many Bones, a game that I honestly haven't played that much, but for the size of the box is kind of hard to beat. You can play this 1 to 4, ton of content, and I have played it before. Very much enjoy it. I just need to get it played more. And lastly, Mind Management. This is a big game, a big box. This is an inclusion that I'm still curious about whether it was the right decision or not. I love this game, but in comparing it to something like Veiled Fate, maybe I would have been better taking Veiled Fate, which just I can see hitting the table more often. This might be my biggest regret. Now, if you know me, you know this is my favorite game of 2021. I love this game. I'm just talking about comparing it to what I've got. I think this might be too big of a box for the games that I need to fill that Kallax. But with that said, it's done. It's over until round 2. Let me know what you think were some mistakes that I've made along the way. Let me know what you think were the best decisions I could have made. And if you feel like trying this out yourself, I don't recommend it, but if you do it, I would love to see it. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Max from Tablenauts. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed the content, and subscribe if you want to see more of what we have to offer. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.